Welcome to the panel, where smart founders discuss the realities of building better products and a better life. I'm Justin Jackson, the co-founder of Transistor.fm.
And I'm Brian Castle. I'm the founder of ClarityFlow, and I'm currently working on instrumental components for Rails.
And in a moment, you're going to hear from our guest,
Adam Wathan. I am the creator of Tailwind CSS.
And Brian, this was kind of the perfect episode in my mind. This is three founders sitting around, shooting the shit, talking about like the real things we're going through at the moment.
We were shooting the shit. It was great to catch up with Adam, but it was more than that. I think we got deep. There was a lot of real talk here. I think this is what conversations with folks like us really feels like, and it's just awesome to be able to get it on the mic and on an episode here. The thing that really sticks out to me, and however successful you think a well-known product in your space, like Tailwind might be, or the founder and the team behind it, everyone's dealing with stresses and challenges and things that don't work and figuring out what to do next. Like, everyone is dealing with that no matter what level you're at. And that we talked, that's what this whole episode was about. Essentially.
Yeah, I love that. Like, every stage has its like benefits and its drawbacks. And, this talk reminded me of like being in that early stage and how you kind of like sometimes long for those times where you're building stuff. But when you're building stuff, you're just like so desperate to get to product market fit or whatever. Regardless of what stage you're in building a business, that you'll find something here. There's going to be something, a lot of perspective. You'll get a lot of perspective from this for sure.
So what are we on? Like, is this like episode 5, I think? Four or five of the show? I think we're already starting to see some like running themes or recurring things that are coming up. I mean, on this one, we talked a ton about YouTube and the value of content in video form. I think another running theme, at least in my mind, is this idea of like how personal business is and how there is no right or wrong way to do it. And actually the right way to do it is to trust your own instinct and your own strengths and weaknesses. And we kind of got deep into that with all three of us and something that Adam's been dealing with. So
totally. Let's get right into it. Let's roll the tape. I want to hear about some of those thoughts you shared with me in Telegram.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't know where to start, but I mean, if anyone's listened to me on podcasts for the last couple of years, I almost feel bad because I feel like it's mostly just like me being like sad and down about things and not being able to figure out my life. But I'm still kind of wrestling with that. I think like specifically like. We did this video course, this free email course that I put out a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I had this idea after giving someone else some advice on like, basically building out a funnel to sell their thing, to do this free email course. I called it Build UIs That Don't Suck. And the idea was like, okay, it's going to be like every day you get a video from me showing you basically something you've probably done that's like not the best way to do something, and then iteratively kind of improving it and landing on like what I think is a really clean, nice solution to some problem in building like web interfaces. With the goal sort of being to build a bit of authority and get you to really thinking like, man, these guys really think hard about this stuff and really sweat the details. And maybe like Tailwind UI, which is Tailwind Plus now, would actually be like a valuable thing for me to have because there's like 600 of these examples in there that are all built to like this level of detail. And even if I'm just going to go and like look at how they did something, maybe I'll learn like some sort of tip or something, right? Basically just like find some way to sort of build a bit more rapport with a potential customer than we get from just having the landing page where they can go like browse around, like be able to tell the story a little bit better and communicate the value. And every example in the course was like built using something I pulled from Tailwind UI, to really just like drive that point home.
Sounds good so far.
Yeah. So I had just to pause on that real quick. I'm guessing, and that makes a lot of sense because I'm guessing that today in 2025, probably the vast majority of your customer base for the paid stuff is just coming from the open source Tailwind.
Yeah,
project.
like
that's-
tailwindcss.com is our distribution channel, right?
Yeah. So that being as huge as it is, like that's just sending a lot of traffic, but now you're missing what you had in the earliest days. Like the earliest days, people were following you on Twitter
Yeah.
and YouTube and really trusting you, Adam.
Totally. And I kind of,
Whereas
it
like
was
now
kind of
it's just
funny
like this
because
Tailwind thing.
when I did this video course, a lot of people in the YouTube comments and stuff were like, "Whoa, this is the guy who made Tailwind." You know, it's like, wow, that's hilarious to me because like I totally missed that tipping point where people know the tool but don't know me. You know.
Yeah.
But that clearly did happen. So, anyways, I thought this was like a really smart thing to do. In my head, once I had this idea, I was like, man, I think this is going to be like an incredibly high leverage thing for us to do for the business because we basically don't do any deliberate marketing. The website gets something like 10 million visitors a month. So it's an insane amount of traffic. There's a lot of places we can sort of promote this on there. And basically the email course, like on the third day, it sort of has like this like preamble at the beginning, sort of italicized, like, hey, if you're digging this, like I think you'll really get a lot of value out of Tailwind Plus, like go check it out. Here's a discount even, you know? Mm-hmm. And then on the fifth email, the last one, it's kind of like a harder pitch, like hope you enjoyed this, you know, if you got a lot of value out of it, this is the best way to support Tailwind, helps us, you know, really try and sell it in every way that I could.
Yeah.
And so we got like, I don't know how many signups we have right now. It's like over 15,000 people on this list in like 3 weeks or something. We get like 500 people a day sign up.
And where does that come from? Just the website?
Just the website. Yeah.
And maybe Twitter and...
So you guys, not even really Twitter, because I didn't really promote it that hard
just
there.
the call outs on the website.
It was kind of like an experiment in my head. I kind of want to see like what is the distribution channel, the evergreen sort of like self-serve distribution channel
from
do.
the docs.
Yeah. So anyways, insane amount of people signing up, right? Good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to, if you guys had to guess, like, what do you think the conversion rate is on this email course?
The thing that comes to mind in terms of thinking about this traffic is that I'm guessing. So I wonder how much of that 10 million are like me. Like I come to the site all the time to check docs.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm a daily user of Tailwind.
15,000 people signed up for the email course. I would say 13,000 of them were not existing customers. So 13,000 people getting emails from me who do not own Tailwind UI.
Okay.
But they opted into a course. It's not like, so they're doing something else than, like, I just come to check a quick thing in the docs, and they came to learn.
Well, they signed up for the course. There's some small percentage of the regular daily traffic that converts to the free email course, you know, and then some of them bought. But I'm curious.
I mean,
what
my
your
guess
guess
off
would
the
be.
the problem is this funnel is a little bit different than how I typically evaluate funnels, because with SaaS you would say, well, a visitor to trial and then trial to paid, and those are kind of two separate things. So I would say, you know, if you were converting 5% to paid, that would be high. Mm-hmm. My guess is it would be maybe even lower than that. So I'm guessing under 5%.
So 25 people have purchased out of 15,000.
Okay. And you're not happy about this.
I wouldn't say yeah, that's one way to put it. It's not like I'm angry about it. I'm more like discouraged, you know, because I think I was really pumped. Like, man, I think this is like sort of low hanging fruit, obvious thing for us to do that's going to have like a big impact. Like maybe this will bag us like 7 to 10 sales a day that we weren't getting before, which totally seemed like realistic to me.
Yeah.
And it's been like less, maybe one, you know, instead. Annually, it's like a drop in the bucket, really. And it's just like, so that kind of just like, so there's that. And then
I have a gut read on that, but I want to come. Yeah,
sure.
Keep going.
And I guess like where the place this has put me mentally is I feel like looking back, I feel like I'm getting kicked in the balls over and over and over again with basically every idea I've had for this business for the last like 3 years. So like the one before this is in maybe September. We finally built built up the courage to try increasing the price, because everyone says like that's like the highest leverage thing you can do, right? And it's just like so scary to do. We were charging $2.99. One day we were just like, screw it, let's change it to $3.99 and see what happens, right?
Yeah.
And again, I got like super pumped. I was like, okay, things are going to drop off a little bit in terms of total amount of sales, I'm sure, but man, even if they drop off by this percentage, like we're going to make this much extra. It seems like as long as we have the courage to do it, it's going to work out.
Yeah.
And you know what happened? Literally the conversion rate perfectly balanced with the price increase, such that if you looked at the chart, it's literally impossible to know when we changed the price up and when we changed it back down. Impossible. Completely impossible.
How long
Average
was that
daily
test?
sales, exactly the same. We ran that for 2 weeks before just reverting it, because it felt like more customers is better than fewer customers if we're going to make the exact same amount of money.
I know you have a ton of volume, but that still feels a little.
When you
bit
reverted
short.
it just went. It continued on the mean, like it continued the
Yep,
same.
just went exactly the same. Just it's like the universe is just like nothing you do is allowed to affect anything. You know?
On the video course thing, just for a second, my read on that is that this market is developers, and I'm sort of convinced that, especially for more technical, like designers, developers, product people, the video or the email course thing in general that leads to a sale at the end, that's not the go-to pathway to buying a product for this type of product. But I still think that the act of releasing this course and releasing content in general is a good move. I think it goes back to that let's get Adam out in front
I agree with that.
thing. Like if that course were just released on YouTube or there's some regular cadence of these course style videos coming out on a regular basis, like
It would
it's
be
the
good
kind of
for
thing that you
things.
won't really be able to track
Sure.
or attribute, but
No.
like it's just
Yeah.
good because you might not even see it in the revenue numbers, but I tend to think more about like what creates a higher quality customer, like a
Sure.
customer who really gets it,
Yeah.
gets our philosophy, you know.
Yeah. So, and then even before that price increase, like the last thing we did before that was this like Catalyst UI kit that we worked on for like probably 9 months. And we thought, you know, the application UI package that we sell, which is like little examples of how to build inputs and buttons and stuff, that's the thing that people like seem to want the most. Because if you look at our sales, when people don't buy the full package, that's the smaller package they buy always. But it's not really componentized, right? It's just like all individual examples. It doesn't give you like a kit where like examples build on other things and components import other components, like a real system. You know, it's just a lot of duplicated stuff. So we thought, well, let's build like a really high quality opinionated UI kit. We don't have anything like that. Maybe that will like unlock some stuff. Worked on that for like a year. No impact on revenue at all. Just kind of stayed exactly the same. Before that, the big bet that we made was the Tailwind jobs thing. I thought, oh man, like this seems like a nice little extra source of revenue that we could try to land, build a job board. I know that like people who use Tailwind like it so much that they would so much rather work at a company that uses it than a company that doesn't. It feels like a competitive advantage in hiring to me. So let's try that. Like just couldn't sell posts on that job board to like save our life, no matter the traffic that the website gets or whatever. So we ended up like shutting that down. And that's basically like the last 4 big things that like I can think of that we've done. And that goes back to like mid 2023. And none of them have just like done anything. And I guess what it's making me feel like is that I thought those were good ideas. I think I still have some good ideas, but now I'm starting to think they're probably not good ideas either. And that I just basically have lost all confidence in myself as
like your instincts and stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
My first thought about this is I love this. This is so good to talk about because immediately I'm thinking about this idea that other people have brought up, which is, the Basecamp guy saying Basecamp is our best idea. And Ian Landsman saying HelpSpot is my best idea. And there is this weird phenomenon, which is often for whatever reason, the first idea that really hits, although in your case, Adam, I'd argue you had some ideas before that really hit. So, but at your current position on the staircase or the ladder or whatever, it does seem that entrepreneurs eventually hit some sort of maximum. And is that just our destiny? It's an interesting thought. Like maybe it's just our destiny. Like, although Hey, I don't know what revenues of Hey, how they compare to
Basecamp.
To Basecamp, and I honestly still don't understand how Basecamp. The reason this probably makes sense is how does Basecamp still make money? It's like when you ask people if they know like brand recognition, it doesn't have the brand recognition like man on the street. If you talk man on the street, like name a project management tool. My guess is you're not going to hear Basecamp very often.
But my guess is their whole business, past and current, is built on loyalty that grows over time, and like because their churn is probably pretty low for longtime Basecamp lovers.
Yeah, my guess is it's a lot of word of mouth, but it just shows that I think there is a lot of value in that original rock that you heave into the lake and makes all the ripples. Like the size of that initial impact does kind of determine your life sometimes, it seems like.
But I actually think that that's a good analogy to Tailwind. And my high level question for you, Adam, is like, what's actually motivating all of this, like, all of this like effort to try, like, you have a ton of traffic, you have a ton of users. Is the traffic decreasing?
No, traffic is increasing.
So the conversions are decreasing.
Conversions are decreasing. I can only speculate. Like, there's like a lot more free alternatives to the stuff we sell now. AI, I know, has taken like a big chunk out of like people just ask tools to generate stuff for them instead of like coming in, buying stuff and copying pasting stuff. I think that's part of it. I think another part of it is just like it's a lifetime one-time purchase thing, which I still would defend to my grave as being like the right decision for what we did. But it also means like eventually you do sort of start to saturate the market. Like if the number of Tailwind users, even if it's growing, it's the rate that it's growing is like slowing down because it has sort of reached a saturation point. Like 2022, early 2023, Tailwind was still like rising to become like the dominant choice for styling stuff on the internet. At this point, it's just like, if you make websites, you know what Tailwind is, you know, like everything's like still fine. But if it goes down, if it keeps going down, that's a problem. You know what I mean? But yeah,
thing, I do question that because if you think about all these people who love Tailwind and they've only paid you once.
I do think we should find ways to give those people a chance to buy something else from us. I still don't believe that like making Tailwind UI a subscription would have been good. I think we could have charged $100 a year for it and everyone would have churned before the third year because it's not, it's just like you could subscribe for a month and download everything and cancel, you know? So I think just
but there could be other benefits that come with that. I mean, I'm literally building a components product in the Rails ecosystem right now. And I'm planning on doing like an annual license with it. And I expect to see a ton of churn with that, but I'm also thinking like, and especially with you branding it like Tailwind Plus, there could be more to it than just getting
and that's kind of the
community,
the play now. You know. Yeah, but it's still one-time purchase at the moment. I still don't really want to pivot it to being subscription, honestly, because I just think the conversion rate will drop by so much that it'll counteract any of the recurring benefits. Like to be candid,
I tend to think of like annual recurring licenses as essentially like one-time purchases that they just have to like choose to purchase again each year. You know, even if it's automatic, it's still sort of a decision like, do I still want this?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I think like we've talked about maybe doing subscriptions for teams because we actually have companies email us telling us they want to cancel. And we're like, hey, good news. Like it's not a subscription. So that might be something to like experiment with. But I guess like, I mean, even looking at like the motivation for even doing any of this stuff. So like keeping the revenue up is one. You know, I don't want to stress about like the finances of the company, and to be clear, like I don't have to in its current state, but I still feel like I need to figure out how to like just stabilize it. And I think it kind of has stabilized. Like I think we've sort of found like the comfortable floor ish, but a lot of it is more about just like what I was saying, where it's just like it's a good feeling to have like a good idea and do it and have it validated by the market. Like that's motivating. And when you do it and it doesn't work over and over again, it just starts to make you feel like a loser, you know? And that's like what I feel like right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the emotional side is, that's the wild thing that I think a lot of people don't. I mean, I remember when I was just like striving to get something that worked. And, you know, the first thing I ever did that really worked was marketing for developers, this course.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, this feels great, but now I need to make this sustainable. And at first I just tried to keep launching it. I just found that exhausting. And then I basically just followed Nathan Barry. He switched from all his revenues on courses to SaaS, and I was like, you know what? I think I should do that. And so then I did it. And then I remember at the time I was in a mastermind with Paul Jarvis, and he was like looking at me, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to do that too.
Yeah.
But the hunger to like find something that works, you just think once I get there, it's golden. Like I'm never going to have to struggle or worry again. And the truth is that eventually you're like, there's an emotional side to it where you're, especially if you have ambition or you're just used to or addicted to or like the feeling of having impact, when things are not up and to the right, that is difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in a different place than both of you, and this tends to be a trend on this podcast. But like the thing that comes to mind today, and all of this really resonates with me big time, because this year in 2025, I feel like I'm finally turning a corner. I've gone through like 3 or 4 really, really tough years from like 21, 22 up until through 24. And 25, I'm coming out of it. And the way that I'm coming out of it is trying to get back to like really trusting my gut instinct again. And I got away from, I feel like I can trace a lot of these missteps, like poor decisions in business in the last 3-4 years, to I was not truly following my gut instinct, whether it's taking general advice from other people or nothing wrong with their advice, but I really believe that like this type of business is so personal for all of us. Probably a lot of people listening to this podcast. Like at the end of the day, you have to go with something that you feel truly just really fired up about. Like, I have to put this out to the world. And I feel like, Adam, you had that when you created Tailwind.
Yeah, for sure.
And, like, and I really, and this is why I'm starting to like really truly understand the value of like a scratch my own itch kind of product. You know, I've done other products that I like, that I use, but like the one that I'm building now, this Rails components thing, like I don't even care if other people buy it. Like I'm the only customer that needs to be happy with this product.
Yeah,
and I feel like I feel like when you like Tailwind, from what I remember, from what I understand, is like you sort of just like hacked this little thing for your own use, right?
Totally.
To make writing CSS easier, you know?
Yep.
And it's like, I think number one, like having this mindset of scratch your own itch, it doesn't even matter what the market thinks. If I'm happy, then I'm happy with my craft. But the other thing about that is that I think that happens to play well in the market, because that's what leads to truly unique and different ideas, right? Like not just another CRM or not just another accounting software. This is a totally new, it's taking CSS and flipping it on its head. It's a totally different way of looking at it. Like, I think that's where these like scratch your own itch. It's like weird. It's different. This one person loves it, and then you're going to find like 10 people who are like obsessed with it, and that's how it actually spreads. You know?
Yeah. I
mean,
agree.
And at the end of the day, and also like this, like I went through hell the last 3 or 4 years. We all go through these like cycles of like depression and stress and all this shit. And and to me, it's like I don't even care how successful or not my business does. If I'm not happy, if I'm not doing things that actually fire me up every day,
100%.
Then what's the point? You know?
Yeah, I struggle with that hugely. I think a lot of that happened for me, like when we started to grow the team. Like I think we got a great team, and I'm really appreciative of having like support from people on all the stuff that I need help with. But it has like changed my role into like being more responsible for just like making sure that we're working on the right things, that people know what they're doing, and that things like are being done in a way that like lines up with what the vision I have is or whatever. And I just don't, I'm never like in flow state almost ever anymore in terms of like what my role is at the company. And it's unfortunate because like what I'm doing what the company needs from me, you know, in a lot of ways, but it's not really like my favorite role to be in.
Yeah.
But then like even on top of that, like I think the frustrating thing is like Tailwind still as a tool like does fire me up and like scratches my own itch, and I really love working on it.
Like how involved were you in like the build out and release of Tailwind 4? Like were you in the weeds in the design and development?
In the early of it, part of it I was, but then not so much. Then it became a lot of just coordinating and just making sure that we were working on the right things, that the right people were working on the right things, and just a lot of surface level involvement in like 6 different things at the same time, versus like just heads down, listening to music, slinging code. It's just like it's more efficient for me to just like almost use like people as my programming language, which is, you know, not fun for me, but like it's how we get the best results of the company, you know?
Yeah.
So I've been trying to figure that out because honestly, like I have a hard time just like waving a magic wand and saying, if I could just wake up and do anything today, this is what I would do. And
like you wouldn't say that right now.
I have no idea what it would even be. Like I'm starting to get some ideas like just this week, which I think would be like something that we can talk about. But
yeah,
the thing that's hard with Tailwind as a product, when you're getting kicked in the balls, like I feel like I have been with these ideas, like not like panning out, it's hard not to sit back and think like every website I look at on the entire internet is built with Tailwind.
Yeah.
ChatGPT is built with Tailwind. Shopify.com is built with Tailwind. Like Netflix uses Tailwind. And like how much of an idiot must I be to not be able to figure out how to turn that into something bigger?
Yeah.
Because like you know what I mean? It's hard not to think like if you took someone who was like a really great internet marketer and said, "Oh, I have this website that gets 10 million visitors a month," they'd be like, "What the fuck? You have what? Give me the keys," you know, like because you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's.
I mean,
so
that
that's
might be
how
something to try.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that would actually work, but I just kind of feel like we are not getting the most out of what it is, and I also feel like, candidly, it's probably not even possible. There's only certain types of open source projects that even have the potential to be real significant businesses, I think.
Yeah.
And we're lucky that we can even make anything. And at the end of the day, it's a great business. It's an insane business, really. But again, it really just boils down to like the idea is just like not working and how that just kind of stings. And then combine that with like, okay, so what's the logical next step for that? Because like the thing that we've talked about a lot internally that I've wrestled with for a long time is, do we try to get more out of what we're doing? Or do we say, okay, this whole thing, maybe we need to view this as like the stepping stone to the next thing, just like how like the Refactoring UI book funded building Tailwind as a company.
Yeah. Maybe
now we do the SaaS thing, you know, which I've always thought I wanted to do. But I honestly am struggling to even get excited about. I think I would hate running a SaaS company, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Even though I love the idea of building the software and crafting the interactions and making it like a great tool. When I really think hard about it, it's like, well, I'm going to need to hire support people. I'm going to need to deal with those support people. I'm going to need to stress about like downtime. I'm going to need to worry about like, what if we lose someone's data because like of some like weird thing that we screw up in managing our infrastructure. And it's like, I don't have those problems like right now. Like, why the fuck do I want those problems when like I already make more money than I need? But it's also leaves you in this unsatisfying position where it's like, there's all these reasons not to do that because I don't think it would make my life, I think my life would probably be worse, but I might enjoy some small part of the process more than like the stuff that I'm doing right now, if that makes sense. So you just end up in this place where even if you think there's something that could be sort of rewarding, it's so easy to convince yourself not to do it because you're not as hungry. You know what I mean?
I don't know if it like checks the box for like the thing that will fire you up every day, but I do think that at this point, given everything and given your position with all this traffic and this entity of Tailwind, like a YouTube channel or content brand makes a lot of sense to me. Educational content, that a lot of it free, maybe some of it premium behind a subscription paywall, but like the main thing is like you could like overnight have you probably already have a YouTube channel that's like has an awesome baseline.
I got this in the mail on Monday. You know, my
oh, there you go.
Wow.
Okay. So
you know, but like that's the thing that comes to mind because it's still, even as popular as Tailwind is, I still get people like kind of skeptical on like the Tailwind concept, you know.
So it's funny that you say this because that's actually like exactly the thing that I started getting really jazzed about at the end of last week and the beginning of this week. I kind of like had this day where we wanted to do this video course. Steve came over to my house for the whole day to like set up all the new gear that I bought and like get the camera angles and the lighting working and stuff. And just like at the end of that day, I was just like, man, this was like the most fun that I have had at work in years. And I think a lot of it is just like being physically in person, moving stuff, whatever. And then I did the video course, and I actually had like quite a bit of fun like recording the videos and stuff too. And the feedback on the videos has been really good, which has been like good.
Yeah.
And I just kind of decided at the end of last week, Steve, like, I think we should rent an office and work from an office and build out a studio and get heavy into content stuff. So we've just been obsessed with that, talking about that lately. We're going to see like 2 spaces tomorrow. Like I found like this like 3,000 square foot like old warehouse that we're looking into like renting and setting up like multiple video rooms with different sets. Just kind of, and honestly, it's so exciting to me because it's like, it's sort of the thing I feel like I've fantasized about for like 10 years of just, you know, I think it's like the ultimate like man cave. Like this is like, put all your cool stuff here.
Yeah.
You know, you just go and hang out with people and do fun stuff. And Steve wants to get back into the refactoring UI videos. And, you know, we had a lot of fun doing this stuff. I think it'd be fun doing all that stuff in person. So yeah, that's what I'm kind of jazzed about right now. And I almost don't even know like how that, if it's going to be just like marketing for the current business or if it's just going to be like a separate thing in a way that the current business benefits from, but maybe other things happen from it, you know?
I mean,
so
the fact that you're getting comments from people saying, whoa, this is the guy that created Tailwind, there is some evidence there that you have a lot of white space to explore and, you know, to increase your visibility might be a really good thing to be known as, well, that is the creator of Tailwind, and he's regularly putting out content, and I'm following him. I'm getting jazzed about using Tailwind. I'm maybe just getting jazzed about web development because he pumps me up. Like, it's inspiring to watch him build stuff. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. I've had this kind of reversal. I talked about this before. You know, this used to be the debate. Rob Walling would say personal brand and audience doesn't matter for SaaS or whatever. And I've now that I've got we've done Transistor since 2018. I just have this steady stream of customers who sign up and say, I came here because of a video Justin you recorded 2 years ago,
Yeah.
or a podcast you recorded 10 years ago, or I've known you ever since you started your newsletter, or
Makes your thing like the default choice when they're ready.
And it's hard to quantify it in a percentage, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's 10, 15, 20% of our new signups to this day.
Yeah.
And building up that profile and maintaining that profile, but continuing to build it. And to me, there's just tons of greenfield there, because, you know, lately I've been on LinkedIn and I'm like, man, none of these LinkedIn people know who I am. And it's kind of fun to figure this out, and like how I can create a profile here and be talking and exploring interesting things through writing and video and podcasts that then in turn like might generate new business for us tomorrow or in 6 months or in 6 years. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there that, and I think in an AI world, in a generic marketing, whatever world, the enduring pieces of a brand is like Jason Fried, DHH, Taylor Otwell, Adam
Like
Wathan.
no matter what medium, like they can shift from blogs to newsletters to video to podcasts. It's still just the person that you follow.
Yeah, and it doesn't work for everybody. It's not for every company. It's not, but for those that can do it and those that like it, it's a really potent way of creating awareness and eventually, I think, sales for your company.
I do think that this year, and this is already a theme on this podcast on multiple episodes now, is just YouTube and video as like, to me, it's the most obvious and far and away best thing that we can like invest ourselves in terms of like, you know, because like, okay, so like this year I'm doing like at least one weekly new video on my YouTube channel, just trying to put a real effort into that. That's my one main marketing channel for everything that I'm doing, but I'm not even treating it like marketing. I'm just trying to create something that I'm fired up about this week, and it's usually whatever I built this week. That's what I'm going to make a video about. But what's exciting to me about it from a marketing perspective is that like almost every day I'm getting like totally new people who are coming and filling out the early access form. They're coming off of YouTube. They're coming over to Instrumental Components, and they're putting their email address, and then they're filling out like writing multiple paragraphs in my survey form for early access.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And these are like, none of these people follow this podcast or follow me on Blue Sky or Twitter or have ever heard of me.
YouTube is great for
algorithm,
like discovering things. Like it's crazy how many videos it suggests to me that have like 65 views. You know.
Yeah.
Just to like find out, you know, it's like, I don't know what the secret sauce is there, but it really does a good job at like surfacing absolute nobodies to people and like making them into somebodies, you know?
And when we're talking about a high leverage activity you could do, like I'm looking at the Tailwind Labs YouTube channel, before the video you published 3 weeks ago, which has 70,000 views, your last video was a year ago, which was the Tailwind Connect 2023 keynote.
Yeah.
That has 352,000 views. And then the last video before that is 2 years ago, What's New in Tailwind 3.1, 122,000 views. Like, I think one high leverage experiment you could do is just release more videos.
Totally, yeah, and that's like what I kind of want to go all in on, honestly. Like I've got so many ideas for content. Like I think it would be awesome to have like a budget for every month we fly someone in and I record like pair programming videos with that person.
Yeah.
Or we do like, I really want to make it even like almost more entertaining than educational. Like Steve designs something and I have to like code it without ever opening the browser and like see how close I get, you know? Like I don't know if like we were talking about Drumeo, like Brian, you know, like Drumeo does all these great, like this person has to like make up a drum part to this without ever hearing the originals.
They've never
a metal band for the first
I kind of just want to do like Drumeo for front end development. You
love
know?
that idea.
And
that sounds
and
awesome.
have that be like the top of the funnel for like pure educational stuff that we could sell, because we are going to do like a paid Tailwind course I think this summer because that seems like another thing that we could finally sell to like the existing 120,000 people who have bought Tailwind UI who have no other way to buy anything else from us.
Yes.
You know, the other mindset thing that I want to share with you, Adam, I think that it just comes back to like this like enjoyment factor of what you do every day. And I think that this, I do think that it makes a lot of sense to go in this like YouTube direction, but I actually don't think you should think so much about this as like a business model or a business plan.
Yeah.
I think it should just be like create good shit. And
I agree.
And keep changing it up, like that's it. That's all it needs to be. Eventually it'll turn into something. You don't even know what it's going to be a year
for sure.
ago, you know.
I mean, that's what I miss, honestly, is like there was like the early days of all this stuff was just like me scratching my own itch and just being so excited about it that I couldn't not talk about it on the internet, you know? And that was just kind of like and I've lost that for sure ever since I've like been delegating so much work instead of doing it myself. But I also like don't know, like making video content, I need to have something that drives that too. Like that's like another sort of like impostery sort of feeling that I deal with a lot, is like I just don't feel like we build real stuff. You know, like our whole business is basically making fake websites, you know?
You know, so I have this video editor that I've been working with for all of 2025 now. And it's been great for me to like be able to just record and then pass it to him, and he handles the publishing and the editing. That's been huge. But one thing was like early on, I wanted to build up a backlog of videos, right? So I gave him like 4-6 weeks worth of videos to roll out. And I actually didn't like that because I didn't like how the video that's publishing this week I recorded 6 weeks ago, and I was like, I'm not even thinking about that anymore. Like, maybe I don't even agree with the things I said in that video, even just 6 weeks ago.
Yeah,
you
like
know?
I've already thrown that out and rebuilt it a different way now,
exactly.
or whatever.
Like, I actually did some Tailwind videos, and like they were about Tailwind 3, like a month before Tailwind 4 comes out. And, you know, and like I trashed a couple of them, and so now I told him, and like now I'm like, all right, let's just forget the backlog. Whatever I record this week, we're publishing next week.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I'm really just trying to focus on like what is interesting to me that I can record today.
Yeah.
And get that published next week. And like my only goal is to be consistent and to keep publishing and to grow the channel. And eventually that can turn into distribution for my products, hopefully. But like, right now I'm just trying to create.
I do like that idea because, I mean, that's generally how, like, people always ask me, like, what's my marketing plan? What's my marketing schedule? What's my publishing schedule? I have none of that. I just generally go with what is driving my curiosity or what's inspiring to me in that moment, which means I publish a lot of stuff that people do not care about. And I'm okay with that because I have to get it out of my system.
Yep.
I have to be, and I feel good when I get things out. It does make me feel bad when they don't resonate because I want to be exploring ideas and concepts that have some resonance. But it still feels good to publish even when, you know, people don't care about whatever I'm talking about, whether it's business ethics or, you know, why we need to keep working on the RSS standard or whatever. If it fires me up and I got to get something out about it. But what I have seen is over my career, the accumulation of all those things. Every year I'm going to have a hit, and that hit might be just one blog post that got 20,000 views that year. That might be my hit for the year. The accumulation of all those things and just regularly publishing eventually has created traffic, trials, and revenue for the business I'm doing.
Yeah.
There was something you said, Adam, maybe over a year ago, maybe it was a tweet or something, that really stuck with me. It was like, you don't really know what's going to hit unless you are publishing all the time. Whether it's content or putting products out or putting code out, like, you really never know. Like I think you put it like you just have to put stuff out there in order to I don't know how you put it. Like
I mean, this
like,
is a threat.
I'm always surprised at like the things that resonate with people.
Yeah.
Because I'll create a YouTube video. I'm like, oh, this one's a banger. Like I think this is one of my best all year, and it plays like shit. And then and then I'll do something on something like totally simple, or maybe like a sidebar on a video. People are like, wait, what was that? You know?
Yeah, that's
that
totally
kind of thing
true.
happens all the time.
I think this is a thread I wanted to pull from earlier, which is you said you keep getting kicked in the balls, but that was like 3 things you tried.
4, but yeah.
4 things you tried.
And it was the last 4. If there was one in between, I think I would feel better.
I get it.
But it went from like every idea that I had like being validated, you know, and feeling I'm smart, I know what I'm doing, to then hitting this tipping point where every idea is bad.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I can understand that, but I also think, and maybe this is the disadvantage of having, you know, you hit 2 or 3 home runs kind of back to back, and that feeling of being so high, it's hard to replicate that. Where in my career, I've been much more of a line drive guy. Line drive, bunt, or strike out, and that's just like I've just had this steady.
I always refer to it like that, like couple base hits,
whatever.
Yeah.
And there's advantages and disadvantages to both. But I think in your case, unlike sports, where I mean, they're similar in the sense that you can really get in your head. You know, if you've struck out the last three or 4 times, and you go up to bat, you're like, like you're just in your head. But the way business is different is that if you can keep just doing stuff, do stuff, talk about it, publish it, do stuff, talk about it, publish it, it does, you know, it doesn't, if you're relentless in trying stuff out, and maybe you just need to move the bar, which is, I tried 4 things, but we should probably actually be trying 10 things in a year. And if we get a line drive out of that, that's great. The other thing that's different in business, which is the other thread I wanted to pull, is that there's still, like, some of those things that you tried that you felt failed, it's still worth it to come back to those and go, like, if I added 1 email to the sequence 3 days after that says, why didn't you buy?
Yeah.
What responses do I get to that? That's a fairly easy, low lift thing. And if you get a bunch of replies from people that say, I just use ChatGPT for that now, well, then you've got your answer. And that's interesting and motivating in its own way. But there might be other things you could do, even with that email course, that would be productive. Like, for example, publishing 1 video a week where the call to action at the end of every video was sign up for this course, and maybe also tweaking the hard sell in it a little bit more. So, you know, for this course.
I guess in my head, it's like, man, it's done so poorly that it's like, what can even if I optimize it, is it going to 10x, you know?
It might
not.
You
never know.
I mean, that was the other thread I wanted to pull that we haven't really talked about, which is this idea that there is a local maximum for a lot of things, and you may have just hit, like Jason Cohen talks about this a lot, like you may have just hit, there's nothing you could do, and this is why I sometimes get frustrated with like raise your prices, and so you've raised your prices and it's just stayed the same. It's like, listen, people, there's not an unlimited, like the ceiling doesn't go up forever. Sometimes you hit the local maximum, and it really doesn't matter what you do. You can tweak as many of these variables as you want.
And I think what I believe now is that, like, it takes almost zero optimization to hit that local maximum. Like, you know how many like terrible websites there are?
Yeah.
Where the product still sells, like, or e-commerce websites that take 11 seconds to load and it doesn't stop you from buying that pair of shoes or whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
I think about this all the time because I feel like when we launched Transistor, it was like at this crucial, pivotal time. Like Serial was big. Every editorial in the New York Times was about podcasting. There hadn't been a new podcast hosting platform in years, and it like aligned with my audience and everything I'd been building. And in retrospect, I didn't realize how much white space there was. I don't, is that the right word? How much available market had just been created? And I wish in retrospect I could go back in time and just double down, like spend as much money as I could to gobble up as much market share as I could, because it literally was like this, and then it expanded. So all of a sudden there was all of this space to explore. And now it feels like the industry has hit the ceiling. It's hit the maximum. And so now we're just all growing 15% a year. But
so like
those
now
early
the benefit
years,
of hindsight is like now you actually see what kind of moment you really did launch in.
because now it's like, damn, like if we had, when it was, the whole industry was here, but the potential was here, we could have spent all this money to just like gobble up as much of that opportunity as possible before we hit the constraints of the market. And now we're just all in this slow, it's like the garbage disposal in Star Wars. It's like slowly moving out now, you know, but we could have really captured that moment.
You know,
Yeah.
I think like coming back to this idea of like, all right, four attempts at something, and you feel like they're all failures. But I think at the end of the day, you're still operating within the business that is Tailwind Labs. Like, and that has its own set of realities. So you can't just try anything. And also the things that you do try, they're going to come with some like baseline realities. It's not like trying totally new products as a first time founder. You're throwing new ideas at the wall. Like those, who knows what's going to hit or not.
Yeah.
But like, you know, once you're operating within this certain reality, like I really think that like the idea of like an email based drip course just isn't the format that this type of traffic is comfortable buying from, you know?
Yeah.
And like there are certain realities like that. I mean, like with Clarity Flow, I started a zip message and then I pivoted to coaches because that, you know, just looking at the current reality on the ground, like these are the customers who resonate the most. And then from that point on, like all the decisions I made in that business and still make today are built around these assumptions about the coach's market. And like for better or worse, that's like those are like sort of the constraints that I'm working within, right?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Yeah, I think I'm starting to feel like the Tailwind Plus stuff is like, it's not like it's hard to discover. You know what I mean? So like, the problem is not like getting people to see it who are already on the website, who didn't happen to see it in the nav on the website. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's one thing I've been thinking about. Like anyone who finds out about the course, they'll find out about Tailwind Plus in the exact same place they found out about the course. So it's not like we're finding people on Instagram who have never seen the thing and then introducing them to it. We're just pitching it to people who've probably already seen it, which I think is probably a big part of it. Whereas doing like the YouTube thing or something, or even like we have like a refactoring UI ad on the side of the Tailwind docs, right? And when we put that there, it doubled sales of refactoring UI.
Mm-hmm.
And so now refactoring UI, which is this book, PDF file, me and Steve released in 2018 because of this ad on the side of the Tailwind docs. And that works because people on the Tailwind docs haven't seen that site. But the course is just pitching people who are already in the place where they would have already discovered it, you know?
Yeah.
So I guess like the thing is I can look back at any of these things and rationalize like why they didn't work. It still stings to feel like, why didn't I know that before? You know, I'm still stupid because I should have known that in the first place.
No, that's not true though, because you know intuitively that you got to try some stuff, and it's in the process of being in motion that all the good stuff in your life has ever happened. Like, really, Tailwind is a result of you failing at SaaS. Because you tried to build a SaaS and that was a failure. You failed at that attempt, but you ended up creating one of the most valuable open source brands that has ever existed. You completely, if you look at everyone who came before you, There was, other paid UI frameworks. There was Bootstrap. You didn't just like leapfrog over Bootstrap in terms of it being a business and a brand and impact. Like you are way further than Bootstrap. Like if anything, the Bootstrap guys should be pissed. Like they had the opportunity, and what you created is so much greater. And very few people can. You had this fortunate. I think you saw what Taylor had done with Laravel, and you could kind of emulate some of that. You and Taylor and Caleb, there's a small group that has done what you've done with open source.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I hear what you're saying, Adam, though, about like, how come you didn't like, predict that this was like, how come I didn't see the data before the data happened, right? I mean, but you can't think that way. I mean, I've tried probably 3 or 4 different pricing experiments just in the last 12 months on Clarity Flow. Switching from free to free trial to no trial to increasing the price to lowering the price again, and each time I learned why it didn't work. And in my case, I have much lower volume, so it takes multiple months of just waiting and seeing before I can draw a real conclusion. But like the price increase, maybe 6-8 months ago, I increased the price and I got rid of the trial, so people pay on day one, no free trial.
Yep.
And that worked. That seemed to work for like 3 or 4 months. Like revenue went up and it was great. And then I started to realize in month 5 and 6, like, damn, the churn rate from this cohort is too high.
It's higher.
Yeah. And then it started to normalize. It's like, well, I should have expected that. But at the same, but you know what? The mindset is like, I had to test it, so now I know. Like, I had a hypothesis. Now I have real data behind it, and now I know.
I think the other thing is, like, I think historically I've underestimated the impact of things that I thought were good ideas. Like when refactoring UI, when me and Steve were going to launch that, I thought it was going to do pretty well. I never would have anticipated that. And it was the same with Tailwind UI. Like, I didn't think Tailwind UI would do better than refactoring UI. I saw that as like a product me and Steve built and finished and then found something new to do. But it's turned into like a company with people maintaining it for 5 years.
I do think like you have reached some, like as huge as your footprint is today, the word saturation just keeps rattling around my mind in the Tailwind world. And I just see it anecdotally, like day to day, like because I get a lot of feedback from developers who are looking at my instrumental components thing. They're filling out a survey, and my thing uses Tailwind. So like there's still a portion of people who, like, Tailwind is totally known now. Everybody knows what Tailwind is, and they've seen it. And I think probably the majority of developers these days are choosing to use it, or they're comfortable using it. And there's still like a portion that is just like, nah, it's not for me, or I never got into it. But they know what it is.
And
I think
and
that
I'm unlikely to win those people over. Like now, like our revenue is sort of like throttled by like the fucking population growth of the planet.
Yes.
It's
but I do think that in front end land, especially in CSS land, there's just not enough content or educational material out there, in my opinion. Like, yes, you can learn the fundamentals of CSS. Anyone can learn that, and there's plenty of places to do that. But I feel like it's unlike things like Laravel and Rails and React and JavaScript. There are so many resources for like, this is the way to build with these tools. Or these are the design patterns. There are so many resources for that. But I still think that like most developers struggle with designing in the browser with CSS and Tailwind. Like, and I feel like that's always been my strength as a product designer. But like most people I meet, they hate dealing with any kind of CSS, no matter what they're using for it. Like, and I that's why I think like a YouTube channel from the makers of Tailwind makes a lot of sense.
I'm excited about it. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. I think like the bigger thing that I sort of struggle with there that I'm trying to come to terms with is just feeling like it's almost like a step backwards in terms of like climbing that ladder, of the types
SaaS
of
is
business, I should be running. It's hard not to feel like, okay, well, like I failed to try to make like a real product, so I'm just gonna go back to being a course boy, as Peter Levels would say.
I kind of think that it's cycling back, and we talked about this, I think, on the first episode. Like, is the SaaS opportunity, has it passed? I don't think it's passed. Of course, you could still build a great SaaS business today, but I do think it's a lot harder, and I think that the growth of YouTube again. Of course, YouTube is not new, but I feel like it's having this resurgence.
I agree. Yeah, I feel like it's kind of, it's hard to explain it because it is like ancient, you know what I mean? But it's sort of become something different in the last few years. It feels like.
Like I'm still building SaaS products. That's like that's like my craft every day.
Yeah.
But I'm less interested in running a SaaS company this year as I was in previous years. I'm more interested in investing in YouTube and showing my craft on you. Like the work that I'm doing on SaaS is mostly for material for YouTube.
Sure.
That's sort of like the mindset that I have. I am building like real products for real markets, but like, I honestly, like, I'm not going into it expecting huge SaaS success. I'm more thinking
I'm trying
about,
to do
like,
the same thing.
I'm
trying to sort of
YouTube
like,
channel,
I want to build real things because I feel like without the constraints of something being real, like the outcome is just different, like if you can just say like, well, this works in Chrome, but I don't care if it works in Firefox because I'm just doing something for fun.
Yeah.
Then you're not forced to solve certain problems. And I think there's a lot of interesting stuff there. I'm trying to tell myself that like I should build real tools and put them on the internet as real products, but almost like don't even market them, don't attempt to grow them, but just do them for real, just so they're real. And still, like you're saying, Brian, kind of with the goal of being like, the goal here is to produce this like side content, that comes out of it by doing whatever. Because if I'm just like trying to sit around thinking what random video can I make today, I don't think that's a good place to be either.
I mean, the one thing about doing YouTube and live streaming is, for me, and I think for both of you, those activities have cultivated inspiration and these collisions that have created good things in my life. And, like Tailwind came out of you doing live streams and people going, I don't give a shit about this SaaS you're building, but what's this CSS thing you're doing? And creating the ground, the fertile ground for those kind of opportunities to come to happen is something I think about all the time. It's like, is it worth, like I've been podcasting forever. Is it worth doing another show? Well, yeah, if it results in somebody calling me up and saying, hey, like I thought about this, or have you ever thought about this? Is it worth going to a conference anymore? I've been to dozens of conferences. Well, it's worth it if I, have one of these collisions in the hallway where I meet somebody or whatever. And I think it does change as you get older. Like I've said this a few times, I hired this college kid to build a Laravel app over the summer, and working with somebody younger than me was so inspirational that I'd like to make that a regular habit. Like if I can hire a college student every summer, like the median age or the average age of a Transistor employee is like 40 or something. That's too fucking old. Like we're just not getting the same kind of inspiration, even for me.
Had a great post the other day about Apple. How, like their whole board is like over the age of 60.
Yeah,
and like you can start to see it in some of their.
It's too old.
Directions.
Like I'm at the point where I don't allow myself to sometimes have creative ideas because I just want to sleep through the night.
Totally.
Right.
So it's like I'm like turning that part of my brain off. Like no, I can't stay up all night. I gotta sleep. But there's some 25-year-old kid.
That freaks me out a lot. Where it's like it'd be late in the day or late at night, and I'm just like trying to grind to keep shipping more at the end of the day, and I think that I'm awake, and I think that I'm sitting here coding.
Yeah.
And then I finally go to bed. I wake up the next morning, and like in the first 5 minutes of the morning, I have like an idea that is so far and away better than what I was doing last night. And it's like, was I drunk yesterday? Like that's kind of how I feel like when I wake up and see work that I did like late night. It's like I must have been drunk or something.
Yeah. I think my point is that there's other paths. Like some of the old pathways still work for us, I think, like live streaming, making videos, publishing articles, publishing podcasts. All of that stuff has increased my surface area for luck and has paid incredible dividends. I think it's still worth doing that stuff. But I'm also acknowledging I'm getting older, and the new pathways that I'm starting to discover that are exciting for me are working with younger people. Like, I think a lot of our teams have people that are way too old, and we need to be working with younger people. Going to different conferences. And some of this has to do with my kids getting older. Like, I went to this indie game expo. Super inspiring for me. I'm just like talking to every indie game developer, like, how does this market work? How do you get traction? What does it look like for you? Is this thing profitable? Like, it was inspiring for me to be in a totally different world. And, I think Adam should go to some music industry. I think you should go to some music industry events. Yeah. I think you should go. I think if you got really into architecture, you should go and check out all of the architecture software. There's all of these other places. Like, my wife's a designer, and she uses Revit. Go and download Revit. It's an Autodesk software. Go download Revit and try to use it. There is so much opportunity in software.
Oh, dude, like, me and Steve are both renovating our houses right now and trying to find like software to do like 3D mock-ups and stuff. And we both were like, oh man, I wish I was smart enough to build like a better version of this, because it looks really hard.
Right.
But that's the kind of challenge that might be perfect for you. I think about Caleb at Panic a lot. So talk about local maximum. Caleb makes Mac desktop apps. FTP software is their number one seller. Like, they've reached their local maximum ages ago. But they took that money.
Coda used to be the thing, and it just got...
They took that money, and they still make sales or whatever. They took that money, and now they're making games. They're making, they've got a game studio.
Like a Goose Game and shit.
And they're making little hardware things.
What is it? The Playdate?
The Playdate.
Yeah, that's right.
I think there's some models with other people that have gone before us here as well that we can follow that could be inspiring.
I am inspired by stuff like that. I was so psyched to see Panic just taking a complete left turn into like gaming hardware after creating software. Another guy for years I've been following is Josh Pigford. I mean, longtime SaaS entrepreneur, but now like he's got like a 3D print toy store,
Dude, that guy is
off the wall.
He's unmatched at just like never being bored,
Yeah, it's just like the creativity. I mean, I think that I have a lot of projects where I'm context switching. I don't know how someone like that operates day to day.
I think and there is still opportunities in Tailwind land, like an adjacent market. I think you haven't even touched is marketers, and I'm even looking at your page. Like, you've got two little calls to action for Plus. Like, there's this little thing up on the right, and then way down at the bottom you have a button for a section and a button for Plus. If you're in
the docs and you click templates in the sidebar or components in the sidebar, or if you do Command K and you type in navbar, you're going to end up in Tailwind Plus.
Sure.
There's lots of little.
I mean, there's lots there,
little secret entries. But
I think if you were inclined, and now if it doesn't pump you up, then that's your answer. But it would be interesting. A huge place where web dev intersects with another market is marketing. People are building marketing websites with your guys' components. And what's interesting is a marketer will look at a page like your homepage, and they'll go, I would probably add 5 times more buttons to buy, like calls to action. Every time I add more buttons to homepages, I get more clicks and I get more people buying. And I would put some ugly buttons in there, like all these things that Steve's going to hate. I would personally love that content. Now, if you guys aren't into it, then you shouldn't pursue it. But there are these adjacent, I think, markets that are massive. And for sure, there's a big percentage of your user base that are marketers. I think that's another way to get inspiration, is just to send an email with a survey to all your customers and say, who the hell are you, and why are you here, and what are you using this for, and just seeing all of the different use cases. And, you know, you might be surprised that maybe there's 15% of people buying Tailwind UI that are marketers. That's interesting.
I think that's true, but then I come back to what Brian was saying, which feels right for me, which is like, I need to build something that's like solving a problem that I have and just hope that enough other people give a shit about it. You know? Because
I think even that is like maybe 2 steps down the line that you shouldn't even be thinking about. To me, I just love the idea of like YouTube, creating content, getting Adam out there more on a regular basis, and just follow. They call them creators for a reason. Like, just create. Like, just create content, something that you like. I'm sure you already have a list of 50 ideas that you think are interesting ideas to put out on the internet. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Like,
I don't know. I struggle with that, man. Like, again,
But what you were saying earlier,
building out this physical studio is like the first idea I've had in several years that I'm like actually excited about. Like, you know, Justin, you were saying like you kind of like have to write about stuff even if you don't think other people are going to care because you just got to get it out of your system. Like, and that you don't like to sort of like have a plan or a schedule. Like for the last several years, I feel like the exact opposite. I feel like unless I like sit down with like my time block planner in the morning and like pick something to fucking do this morning, Adam, because otherwise you're just going to watch YouTube videos and do nothing.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I'm the same way, but I know every day I create something, I feel better at the end of the day. And so I just have to follow what's driving me. And if that's like to think about whatever topic it is that some people don't give a shit about, but if I care about it and I make something about it, I feel better.
I'll tell you something that I've struggled with this year with videos, and I'm starting to get over it, I think, is this imposter syndrome. Like, I'm not new to creating content and putting myself out there, even on video. I'm comfortable with that. What I've never really been comfortable with is me showing my code or talking about code on video. Like, huge level of imposter syndrome for me, because I'm constantly second guessing, like, and I already get it in my comments, like people picking apart, like, that line you said, that's wrong, like you know,
sure,
or there's a better way to do this or that. Like, I know, I'm sure there is, you know, but I also get comments now from people saying like, thank you for explaining it in the way that you explained it, because you're speaking to me. Like, I'm trying to speak to myself from a few years ago.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm trying to speak to the person who's just trying to ship a product, just trying to design and build and ship a product as a solo bootstrapped person, right?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to teach the person how to go get an engineering job at Google, you know?
Yeah.
So just remembering that, like, I have my voice and my point of view. Adam, you were saying earlier, like, sharing the level of detail and the level of just perfection that you put into everything that you craft, like, that has to come through, you know? Like, it's so business is so personal, and especially a creator-led business is extremely personal. There's always, and I think actually that, like, YouTube's algorithm is even smarter than we even think. Like, it's going to match up people who just vibe with your level, you know?
I think the opportunity for both of you as well is to lean into, like, if you think about the videos that really have a hook, they're just constantly retelling their story in one line. So, hi, I'm Brian. I'm a designer turned developer, and I'm working on this. I'm going to show you something. There's something authentic about that. There's also something about that just honestly tells people where you're at. Like, I haven't been a developer for 20 years. I'm a designer turned developer, and this is what I'm working on. For Adam to say, hey, I'm the creator of Tailwind, which is now used by 3 billion websites worldwide and companies like that, like, having a tagline at the beginning of every one of your videos that can in turn also become great short form videos, so that people see your guys' stuff and go, oh, this is a designer turned developer, I'm interested in this. Or, holy shit, that's the creator of Tailwind, I want to watch this. And you continue to reassert your identity and your story. You just repeat it all the time. Like, this is who I am, this is who I am, this is who I am. I think there's something special about that hook that could be helpful.
I like that. I also think that I think there's a big opportunity for behind the scenes with Tailwind. There's so much of under the hood on Tailwind that I have no idea how that magic works.
Yeah. There's an endless amount of stuff to make.
Yeah, and I think about this a lot. I have no idea what it looks like on the inside of your team, but like, how do you actually build something like Tailwind, and how do you even ship version 4 of Tailwind? And all the changes that came in version 4. So like, seeing some videos of like behind the scenes, maybe even like some like, this week we're thinking about this direction, and then a month later like we decided to go that direction. Like, I think that's just interesting content, but also as a person who uses Tailwind every day, I think that would really help me and others. Like, I know a lot about Tailwind just from the docs and from using it every day.
Yeah.
But there are things that, like, certain habits and different use cases where I've started to learn, like, it's better to do it this way rather than that way. It'd be even better if I knew why, the technical underpinning of like why it's better to do it this way.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff can come straight out of your GitHub issues. Like, find a popular GitHub issue. I'm sure there's 10 videos that come out of that.
Yep. Yeah.
I think, and also we got to wrap up here, but I think this is like Brian said, this is so personal, and I think leaning into your characteristics. Like, I think another thing I've missed from your content, Adam, is you were always the guy that was, if you were talking to someone, like if you were doing an interview with anybody, you would like challenge people and dig into things in a way that I'd never seen. Like, there's this like lack of bullshit. Like, let's just throw out all pretense here. I'm building this thing. And they would say, well, they would give you some, rote answer, and you'd be like, but that's not a satisfying answer. Like, what is going on here? I loved that content of, I think, every once in a while, do a live stream with someone that doesn't agree with you or that you don't agree with. There's some nice tension in that, and you used to do this all the time. You'd read somebody's tweet and you'd be like, I'm going to reach out to that person and get to the bottom of this because I have to satisfy that.
I want to see a series of videos of like Adam building a design in Tailwind versus somebody building it with a non-Tailwind
dude, I've wanted to
approach.
do that for so long at like a conference, like a fucking front-end death match.
Yes.
Where it would be so fun.
That would be great. Dude.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, this has been good, man. Hopefully this did feel like a little bit like talking at the bar at a conference. I feel like we got into it.
Yeah. I like this one.
Yeah. It's good.